Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing? This is Coach Renz. Back on Why I Left Religion with Coach Renz. And today is something new. Y'all know I have never done this before. I've never had like a live guest. We've had people come on over YouTube or TikTok or Facebook, or I've been on other people's show. But this is my guy, Harlem. You know what? I don't even know your real name. His cigar name, as far as I'm concerned, is Harlem. I don't even know your real name.
Brandon.
Oh, I did know Brandon.
You didn't know that.
Yeah, but we don't use that anymore.
Yeah, definitely don't use that.
All right, so Brandon.
Go with Harlem. I mean, it works. Yeah, go with Harlem. It works.
One of my cigar guys called me in here last week doing the podcast, said he wanted to come in and talk about polygamy, pros and cons, and spirituality of it. So I brought my guy in here today. Of course, y'all know we had Smoking Phoenix Cigar Lounge. So what we got to do, we got to blaze up some sticks. So if you got a problem with that, you might need to just get on our channel right now. But on the norm, this channel is about deconstructing from religion, building your own personal pathway of spirituality, Black life, how we live, how we grow, how we explore and become great. Polygamy is one of those things that I like to talk about when it comes to Black culture and how we should be moving regardless of anybody else. And yeah, that's what we do on this channel. If you find me for the first time, like, subscribe, share, please subscribe, please comment. We need your comments today because y'all know I can talk to myself for a long ass time. I got somebody else to talk to, so y'all need to comment if y'all want to get in this discussion. I do. Y'all want to be in this discussion. So, without further ado, I want my man here, Harlem. Go just a little bit about yourself, not too long.
Copy.
And where you are in your spirituality, because most of my people, that's where we talk about.
Okay.
And I'm gonna light up while you're doing all that.
Absolutely. So, as Ren said, I'm Harlem, and right now I'm a business consultant. I work for a bank, and
about you, man.
Oh, okay.
You are not your job.
No, I'm leading up to that. But okay, copy. So, I'm Harlem. I'm a cigar aficionado. I like to hang out. I like to meet new people, and I like to have these kind of conversations about everything and nothing at the same time. That enough?
Yeah. Plus, I ain't want you to talk about your job because I ain't want you to get in trouble.
Oh, that's why I didn't mention
who.
Like, that's why I didn't mention it. Nor am I wearing any.
In the way the world is today, it's like bullshit.
He said. Right. If you know where I work, this podcast is in no way reflective of any of the views. But no, in all seriousness, I loved having conversations like this. And when the conversation came up, I was like, this would be a real good topic because I had just had the conversation with somebody else about the Bible's view and what a spiritualistic view could or would or should be on polyamory and polygamy. So I think it's going to be real cool.
So what is your spirituality? If you had to categorize it, classify it, give it a title, what would you title your spirituality? So that we have an understanding of where we're coming from here.
So if I was to classify myself as a denomination, then I would say Yoruba, which is an African
more. So you practice Ifa?
Right. Very close to it. So Yoruba, Ifa, Santeria, very much. They're all very, very, very close. Very like they're cousins.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Nah, I just went to. Look, everybody don't know I can. Well, y'all actually may not know. This is gonna be y'all first time because I'm talking to another cigar guy for one. So we talk shit to each other
all the time.
So y'all get to see the asshole side of me.
More so, get to see that regularly?
Not so much. Only on the videos if somebody really like piss me off and say something. Like somebody said something on the video on a comment that I'm making a video about later on today. Yeah, the assholery shall come out. But normally people don't. They don't. It's more instructive.
Right.
Hey, Honey Hogan, how you doing? Oh yeah, everybody, let us know who you are, where you at, that sort of thing. Of course, we always like to acknowledge our people. So if you saw the title card for this video, depending upon what platform you're on, we got TikTok over here, YouTube over here, Facebook right here. Comment, please. But if you saw the title card, what we're talking about is polygamy, pros, cons, and spirituality. And I really want to let's go ahead and just, how long we been doing this? Okay, we're over the 5 minute mark. I give people 5 minutes to get on
Okay.
before we get into the subject.
Right.
So go ahead and give us your rendition based on spirituality. First, since most of us are living in a Western culture, based on that Western culture mentality and their understanding of the Bible, give me your breakdown of polygamy in the Bible. What up, Clint? Grand Ride.
Low volume.
Who's saying that?
This one right here. Honey Hogan.
Okay.
So, my rendition of.
I caught the microphone ain't plugged up.
Beep, 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 beep.
My bad. Microphone wasn't plugged up.
All right, we good now, Honey Hogan? All right. So, my rendition of polygamy. I don't see that there's anything wrong with it as long as all parties are A, of age, B, consenting to the agreement, and C, there's no division. So there's no she and I versus her, or them versus me. So as long as
that's getting into the pros and cons. No, based on the Bible.
Okay.
What is your thought process?
Okay, cool.
On polygamy.
So based on the Bible, I think that the Bible, as with a lot of other things, supports it and doesn't support it at the same time. Here's what I mean by that. So early on in the Bible, you see where there are many people that have multiple wives.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to be your antagonist.
Okay, perfect. That's great. So you'll see Abraham, many wives, Solomon, many wives, even for him, concubines. And then
but Solomon also started losing his mind because he allowed himself to try to please all those women and started worshiping their gods, and that's why he got messed up. So in a roundabout way, you can say that polygamy wasn't a good thing.
So polygamy, that I wouldn't blame that on polygamy, or I wouldn't put that on polygamy. What I would put that on is his inability to stand firm, because if he is, I mean, and we have a different understanding of Solomon or whatever, but for him, if he was supposed to be standing firm on his belief system, then they needed to get ahead and get in line with him. And he was also the king. Okay. So he went over there pleasing, their gods. That's something completely different. That didn't have anything to do with the institute of polygamy.
Okay. Now you happen to mention Abraham. Mm-hmm. So we know that Abraham had his wife Sarah. Mm-hmm. But Hagar, who produced him Ishmael, mm-hmm. was his slave wife. And then she got cast out into the desert. So that shows that there's that jealousy, that if you have polygamy, then that jealousy for the first wife to the second wife, because the second wife, but first of all, she was a slave wife. So are you saying the second wife is a slave? And or mm-hmm. do you see the problem with the jealousy that Sarah had because Hagar produced the first son, which we know is very important.
Absolutely.
And then that jealousy caused them to kick him out into the woods, which is not a good aspect of the polygamous relationship.
Absolutely.
So
in kind of my first few sentences, right? What I was saying was that as long as the jealousy aspect didn't come up. So there's some people that are okay with sharing, right? There are some people that are absolutely okay with sharing. There's some people that are absolutely not okay with sharing.
So you're saying Sarah just didn't qualify?
I wouldn't know. Well, I mean, maybe she wasn't the right person for it. So not qualified. She could have been qualified. She was with it for a while until he produced a son, mm-hmm. right? So that's something that might have been stated in the requisites of that type of relationship. Like, yo, look, you got a son, and something else got to happen, right? I don't know.
Well, the fact that she was a slave is bad enough.
Or I was about to get to that. Or the fact that she was a slave, right? And so slavery was a thing back then. But so the fact that she was a slave, like, yo, you need to not do it with certain people, or you need to not have certain people involved in a relationship. That is requisites or understandings that you absolutely have to have first going in.
So now, if I was a Bible thumper, mm-hmm. then what I would say is In the beginning, God created Adam, and then he needed to help me. He created Eve.
Okay.
He didn't create Eve and Jacqueline and Rachel and Shaquita.
You're right.
And also, so if he wanted man to have multiple wives, he didn't create it in the beginning. And even though in the New Testament, oh, 2 seconds. Oh, you got 2 seconds. You're gonna have to jump on a conference call in 2 seconds. See how you doing?
2 seconds. But don't let them change that. Let me go ahead and get
yeah,
that.
I was having fun arguing against my own points, and then you taking it.
Go forth and be many.
You're taking it. He had a conference call. He didn't think he had to be on so early, but it turned out they just texted him and told him. No, it's not. You good. Just don't close it all the way because that little button is not open. All right, so I guess I got to hold it down myself for a while. Not like I can't do that. So I definitely want to hear you guys' opinions and thoughts on whether or not it's okay. What are your thoughts about it? Now, I was going to, and I don't get an opportunity to be on the other side of me, so that was going to be fun for me. But I can answer, my own questions, my own thoughts, because these are normally the things that people are going to come at you when you have this conversation, if there's something that you agree upon. As far as the Bible is concerned, the Bible doesn't necessarily say go forth and do polygamy or go forth and not do polygamy. It basically just allows for it, has conditions for it, and just treats it as a normal piece of life. It's not so much a hard line on it as many Christians try to draw. Many Christians try to draw the line and say, well, they only created Adam and Eve. All right, but as soon as you get down into the lines of Cain, you get Tubal Cain, who took on multiple wives. You also have other people within the Bible. Even though Jacob took on 2 wives, he was tricked into 2 wives, but then he wound up having 4. There's no trickery in the other 4. I mean, at one point, Rachel pretty much sold him off to Leah for some plants. So, yeah, I've heard about Lilith. But he got rid of Lilith before Eve came along. But so Jacob still wound up by choice having multiple wives and having 4 wives, 2 of them being slave wives. Bilhah and shit. I looked up her name today because I was like, I'm tired of not knowing the other chick's name. Zephyr, Zephel, something like that. Start with Z, I think. Anyway, so and then you got Solomon, like my man said, Solomon it wasn't because of the wives. They try to blame it on the wives as to why he lost his mind and started serving multiple deities and that sort of thing. And in the New Testament, the only people that it says that should have only one wife is a pastor or a deacon. It doesn't specify anybody else having one wife, just those people. So it doesn't say no, it doesn't say yes. It just is. It's simple as that. It just is. It's if you can handle it, if you can afford it. And if we're going to talk about the affordability of it, I definitely want that joke in here when we talk about the affordability of it all. But it's based on those kind of things. Gucci said then how did he create Adam and Eve first? Have you heard about the woman Lilith that came before Eve? The Lilith story is something that's from Kabbalah. It's like Jewish mysticism. You're not going to find that in the Bible. That's something that was written later about the creation of Lilith. And as the story goes, Lilith was created at the same time as Adam, supposedly on that 6th day of creation. Lilith didn't want to be up under him all the time in the act of coitus, so she rebelled against that. Adam got pissed, whined like a little girl, and I don't mean that to be sensitive, but insensitive. But he whined like a child. Let me square that away. He whined like a child, and then God sent Lilith off into the wilderness, and Eve then made Eve out of his rib. That's how that's how it goes in the Kabbalah. Now, the fact of the matter is the Lilith mythos is taken from the Sumerian stories of the Lilitu tree, and it's in the Epic of Gilgamesh, where Gilgamesh and in trying to find immortality, dealt with Elnana. Elnana gave him 12 quests. One of those quests was to solve the Lulutu tree. Um, from the Lulutu tree, we get the Lila spirit or the Lulut, which is out in the desert that is killing men who wander out to the desert, or attracts men out to the desert and they die, or kills your baby during childbirth. So she became this demon to the Hebrew people that kills children during childbirth or men out in the middle of the desert. But it comes from a Sumerian story. Appreciate it. He said, "Why that's deep? All my family never heard of this story." Most people don't, because most people, they go, they sit, they listen, they walk out the church door. But that's where we get the little story from. So and it's not part of it. Wouldn't be, they can't put that part of the Bible, because they did in today's world with the amount of information we have, it'll burn it. That story gets burned down real quick, because you can easily go to the Gilgamesh story and find it. Now, because there are always these different, on TikTok, let me just let you know, if you haven't made a comment stating your interest in the conversation, I am not going to allow you to come on. So y'all can stop doing that. I don't do those battle things. But in this, so since the Bible doesn't necessarily say you can't be, then why is it that Christianity became monogamy? Simple answer. The Romans did it. The Romans did it. The Hebrew people, the Jewish people, the Ashkenazi, European Jewish people, to be more specific, they did not begin to outlaw polygamy until around 1100 CE. It wasn't until around 1100 CE that the Ashkenazi started to say that even in Jewish culture, they started saying that it was just something God had tolerated, but it's not something that he approved. And so that's only more recent that they start getting out of it. The rest of us started getting out of it. The rest of the world, the Western world, started getting out because the Romans took over Christianity. And within the Roman culture of the day, you didn't marry multiple people. You had slave wives, but you didn't marry multiple people. And having sex wasn't a condition of marriage. So that was that situation. That's how that started becoming more of the norm for us. It had nothing to do with preaching, teaching, understanding God, or anything of that nature. It was simply the Roman culture. As I've said many times before, the religion is always substandard to culture. Whatever the culture dictates is what the religion will then start to say. And so that's what they say. Welcome back, sir. Did you have a good piece of your conference?
Yo, that was the fastest that I've ever done my segment. That's our branch managers meeting. So we'll get on that.
All right. So I forgot where we were when we left.
If God wanted polygamy, he would have created Adam, Shaquita, Marquita. Did you throw a Jasmine in there? No?
All right.
I'm just throw a Jasmine.
Sounds like a personal one.
Yeah. I've always liked Jasmine.
All right, DMX.
Shaquita, Nikita, about 3 Kims and Latoya. What?
Yeah, so I done went on a long diatribe and I went through that aspect of it. But go ahead. What's your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts on this is this. You're right. He didn't create multiples. He created 2. But he also said, go forth and be fruitful among the earth. And so at that time, you could sleep with a relative and not worry about your kid coming out with 3 heads. So
yeah, but isn't that within itself retarded?
I agree with that,
because it's not like we've had some massive biological change over the last 6,000 years. Well, you still would have had. I think I saw some scientific thing done where it said in order to create a population, to restart the human population, I think you needed like 36 couples at minimum.
Well, so remember, if you go with folklore, they were closer to perfection at that time. So if you look at it from that standpoint, you could say, okay, the argument is to be made that they were closer to perfection, so they could do that. there's another side of the coin that says that there were other people also there on Earth.
So compared to them, we on the short bus. Since they were more perfect, then over time, all that crossbreeding diminished the perfection. And we on the short bus.
Could very well be. So remember, so if you look at it at that time, we had like, if you again go with folk, we had certain abilities. Our telepathic abilities were more there. You had, if you go with
according to who?
Well, I'll tell you, according to most. Well, I mean, according to most Egyptologists and philosophers at that time, we used more of our brain then. So at this point, if I have a hand, I use about the percent of my ring or less.
Well, you know the whole percentage of your brain. We use 100% of our brain. It's just that we don't have access to it at all times. But I do understand what you're saying, because I've seen some of the Egyptian. I'm gonna push you.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some of the Egyptian hieroglyphics that show that they seem to be indicating that they did have some type of telepathy. Now, do I think that that was going on 6,000 years ago? I don't. I think that was the civilization that was around in the pre-Younger Dryas period, if you know what that is. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that was the current modern day version of us. So but we're talking about your little Bible. We're talking about the little Bible. It's not your Bible. My bad.
Wait, what? You know, but I mean, so here's my thing, right? They said go forth and be fruitful, and so there's two sides of the coin. There were other people on Earth. Okay.
Right. If you go with Genesis, if you go with Genesis,
chapter 1, verse 1,
there was more people.
Right. So there is some confusion there. Theologists will argue that there was a time lapse, and we talking about a different time. You know, the Bible jumps back and forth in history. So I disagree with that, because if we're gonna do it to the letter, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and then went down the line of what He created and how He did it.
Yeah, they try to create that time lapse by saying two different things. One, they try to use when Peter in First Peter, when it says that 1 year to God is 1,000 years to man. 1 day to God is 1,000 years to man. But in Genesis, it uses the term yom, which yom only means a calendar year. I mean, yom means a day. 1 day. 1 day, a 124-hour day. So that doesn't work in itself. So it's 6 days, it's according to this story. But and then He rested for a day. And then that's when He missed and all that kind of stuff. So the second chapter is a retelling, or a second. It's not a retelling. It's a whole new story.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard apologists say that there were other, theologists, seminary people, who say that there were some other people outside the enclosure, because in Chaldean, the word Eden means enclosure. It doesn't mean, it's not a garden. It's like a damn sweat camp.
Or a reservation.
Sweat camp.
Forced
labor.
Well, sweat camp. Go ahead and pick these fruits, but not that one.
Mm-hmm.
So there was one thing that was really, 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 that led me to believe, you know, that there were other people around. And it's when Cain killed Abel. He was excommunicado, and then he was like, well, I can't go out there, they'll kill me.
Right. They were going to kill him because that was a brother that he killed.
Right. Hey. So who were they though? Like, you know, at that time,
Adam and Eve had a bunch of kids that they didn't tell you about.
Sure enough. And so what does that look like? My next question
is, that's what they say.
Right. Did they have children before they were excommunicated from the Garden of Eden?
No, because, well, yeah, because it said no, they didn't. Because according to that story,
there's no record that they didn't. But
when she had Cain, then that was like her first. Because she made a point of like, I've had a baby and I've been able to do this, and it's amazing. Now, how many they had after that?
To be told,
we don't know.
Right.
If you go with the biblical story, then it's incest. If you go with archaeology,
can't take away from that.
It's people all over the world.
Okay, right.
So it's bullshit.
Okay. I think that personally, I think that the Bible is a great historical allegory. It's not. I don't necessarily know that everything happened the way that they said it did. I think that it could be, but it is interpretation of the time. So if I had somebody listen to a DMX song 1,000 years from now, right? Would they know that he was talking about specific politics or not? Or, would they know what selling drugs was?
Without the context of understanding the full culture,
my
then
point.
you don't.
My point.
So, and that's where the polygamy thing comes into play, is you got to understand the context of the full culture.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that culture has changed so much today. It's identified differently.
Correct.
Their culture was first hunter gatherer, then agrarian.
Yep.
If we're going from just the
basics,
them, because they were herdsmen and all this kind of thing. But for the majority of the world that they knew of, they were agricultural society. Everybody worked. That's one thing about polygamy. When we get into the pros and cons, the Western mentality of it is that, oh, the man go out there and he worked and got to provide for the whole deal. Hell no, everybody works.
Everybody does their part,
but everybody don't do the same work. But everybody works. So for their culture, they had to. They married multiple people. One, because they needed more farm hands.
Mm-hmm.
Two,
they had to expand the family.
They had to expand the family. Three, there were more women than there were men, so you didn't have much of a you don't want to be a father who got to keep your daughter, because your daughter was property, and the older she gets, the less value she has. So he had to offload her, whether he was doing. That's why Laban tricked Jacob and gave him Rachel,
mm-hmm.
because he knew nobody was gonna. She was the older sister. The younger sister's getting married. They didn't like the way she looked. So
what are we gonna do?
He had to trick her. Got you drunk. Mm-hmm. You on there, better down.
Yeah.
That's your wife, bro.
Yo, what was it in that show? You defiled her honor?
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And then the other part, and then the last part of that is that part, sex. The marriage was having sex. As soon as you had sex, you married to that woman. So to keep it from a whole bunch of looseness going around in the society, if you had sex with a woman, then that became your wife. So you are then allowed to have multiple wives. It wasn't that way. You keep down single motherhood. You keep the value of a woman, because mm-hmm. that was their value back then. And it allows for society to function without having to care for people who couldn't care for themselves, because women couldn't own land and all these other things.
And there wasn't really a lot of divorce back then that I know of. You might have got stoned or something like that, and that was a divorce.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Or you just get ignored. But you didn't have a lot of divorce. They did have it, though, but not a lot. And that was mostly more rich people. Like, I got a rich daddy.
Right, yeah.
But my rich daddy can afford it.
Dissolve the marriage or something.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I ain't bringing you no coffee.
No, I'm good. So the one thing that I will say about it, and since you brought up sex and how it works, the one thing that I will say about that is that if you go with the Bible part about it, the sex before marriage thing is a thing, right? So there was a dating stage. Even though you were married to this person, they had to date this other person to bring them into the fold, no? Mm-hmm. And so you hear stories all the time of these multiple wives, and the person, the husband, loved them, right? Now there's, I think, 17 different ways to express love in Greek, and an additional 6 or 7 in Hebrew. So love can also include infatuation, lust, extreme like, care, all of those different versions of the word love, which translates to us as love, right? So there's a part of that I wanted to bring to polyamory, which if we break down the 2 words, poly, more than one, not mono, and amory, love, loving multiples, right?
Right.
So my question to you would be, can you love romantically 2 people?
Yeah,
absolutely. So a Christian woman said to me, you can't love somebody, you can't love 2 people. And so I asked her, do you have children? She said, yeah, she got 3 kids. I said, so which 2 of your kids don't you love? So no, it doesn't work like that. Right, yeah, it doesn't work like that. That's different. Okay, cool, I got it. They're your offspring, I get it. So my question is this: if you had somebody,
I want y'all to answer this question too. Can you love multiple people at the same time?
Yeah. can you so the question is, can you love romantically? So we know you can love your kids, so the ability to love multiple people is there. But can you love somebody romantically? The maybe it won't, I don't think it'll be the same, but do you have the ability to love? In my case, well, I'm not in a polygamous situation, but I have been. But can you love Jessica and Jasmine at the same time?
Yeah, we already do it.
Bingo.
I'm gonna tell you, we already do it. Okay, if you've ever been in a long-term adulterous relationship, and that's, I'm only calling it adulterous because that's what we do today. Back in the day, you had sex with another woman that she also became your wife.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've ever been in a long-term adulterous relationship, then you were loving two women at the same time, or you were loving two men at the same time if you was the woman doing it.
Right.
If you've ever just been long-term dating two people,
bingo,
you have had emotions and care and love for two different people at the same time. The only difference is because of our Western culture, if you are married and then you have another woman on the side, or you're a woman and you got another man on the side, you are not going to be able to sleep with somebody, spend time with somebody, go on dates with somebody, talk to somebody, send messages to somebody, give somebody, do all these things and not develop emotions.
Feelings. Right.
So, yes, most people, if you've ever done any of those things, you have done it. And I'm gonna tell you another. If you ever was deeply in love with somebody and it broke up, and then later on you get with somebody else, but you've managed those emotions, you still have love for that other person. You just don't deal with them. You're not with them. You still care about them, but
residual love.
Exactly. And you go on and you fall in love with somebody else. Now that love should be greater than the other person, but it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
I used to always tell people when I would counsel them, the love that you've ever had for anybody never disappears. It's just got a bunch of other shit stacked on top of it so much that you can't see it nor get to it, and you don't want to dig down and get it.
Or you're not trying to access it. Exactly.
No, you don't. Yeah. And it's too much on it.
So if you think about the one that, if most of us, we have the one that got away, there's some type of love there for that person.
Yeah. And Gucci Baker.
Okay, let's get it.
He said that, no, he just agreed and said, yes, we are. Yes, we can. If we go back to nature, we were built for it, man and woman. And that's the thing. It's both men and women. There are some women out there that if they could get two husbands, they would.
Absolutely.
They would get two husbands. And I wouldn't be mad at them either.
Nope. Again, it goes back to my original statement. If everybody is with it, then cool. There is a culture now, and it's very much like that. I think some parts of society we've gotten away from the true aspect of polyamory, and we've gone to just this, y'all want a menage, and it's just solely based on the sex and not the relationship of having two different types of people that are, completing a triumvirate, if you will.
Yeah. See, now that's why I don't mind. Now I don't care. People can do whatever they want to do. Polygamy, I'm cool with. Poly, I'm like, you might as well just be swingers.
And because the lines are very, very murky on that one right there.
You're right. I mean, it's different. Polyamory, this is your specific girlfriend or specific boyfriend. So you're not going outside of this. Mm-hmm. But y'all are not all in the house together, building together. So what's the purpose? Because I've always said that whoever your spouse is, you got to keep dating them like they're your girlfriend or your boyfriend.
Bingo.
So what do you need another girlfriend, boyfriend for if you already got a husband or a wife?
Because there's something different.
Then you need to have another wife or another husband. You don't need to have another girlfriend with your wife. Just have another wife. You understand what I'm saying?
Let me then ask you this, right? Let me just throw this into the mix. What if it's solely based on sex?
Then just be swingers.
Or
that way you don't have to worry about becoming emotionally attached to another person, and they're only used as a toy.
And that would be my answer as well. So there's a situation when I was talking to a friend, and I guess you could call it counseling them, but they were like, well, the bedroom is not what it could be or should be. And I was like, okay, well, what is it? So she was gay at one point, and so she's into women. and he just doesn't have the touch and he can't replicate what she's looking for a woman. And for him, the sex just wasn't all that, because of what he was used to. And she wasn't able to provide that or wouldn't provide that. I suggested to them, they're married, happily married, but sex is the problem. So I suggested to them, yo, why don't you guys go and get a girlfriend? Go together and get a girlfriend and have this girlfriend give you guys both what you need. She needs a female or a less masculine touch,
right?
And he needs a female that likes to get, for all intents and purposes, D down. You know what I mean? And everybody would be that much happier. They did it. It worked for a while. The girl didn't work out, and they did it a couple of other times and found somebody that they're with today.
Right.
That's a girlfriend. And she's very cool with that. And she knows her place as they are married, and she is their girlfriend.
Do they have to pay any money into her house? The girlfriend's house?
The girlfriend lives with them.
So, dude, that's polygamy.
I agree. But that's why I'm saying. But they're not married, though.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get married in America. You can't marry two people. The laws are against that. That's you'll get caught up in bigotry. I mean, what is it called? Not bigotry. It's
not bigotry.
Bigamy.
Is it bigamy?
Yeah.
Let's put it together.
I think so.
I thought it was bigotry.
Yeah, look at it. But it's not. Hey, I need somebody on YouTube to type a message because I'm not sure if the messages are coming up.
Okay, yeah. The act of going through a marriage ceremony while already married to another person.
Right. So that's illegal in the United States. Right. So
and
now
go to Dubai with that.
It's easy to do it. You can go to one, like we're in Atlanta, right? You can get married in Georgia. You're gonna get a marriage certificate in Georgia. You go over to Alabama, you can marry somebody else, you're gonna get a marriage certificate for Alabama. They don't send, I appreciate it's working. It's not one network.
Right. So it's like a database
and then it pops up or something like that. So you can do it, but it just when it comes down to certain legal rights, when they see those certificates, they're gonna be like, oh, the only one that's gonna matter is the first one. But
so what happens if you do it in like Middle Eastern?
But spiritually, they married.
So I agree with that.
I don't know why the sound is low on this one. They married. That ain't polygamy. They got dang on. I just moved in the microphone. Well, that's coming in your face. Oh no.
Yeah,
I put it like in the middle.
There you go. Gucci said
it looks crazy on YouTube.
Yeah, it does. All right. Well, hold on a
second. I'll put it like that. That'll work.
There you go. All right, cool.
Look at that. Just say that's the only thing I gotta reach around. How do you know if they are one?
If they are the one.
Oh,
so
thank you.
That's where the dating phase comes in.
Yeah.
So you gotta. How do you know that the chick that you already have is the one or not the one? That So is she compatible with the culture that you've already built in the family? So Grand Rising. How do you know if they're the one? You have to date them. There has to be some type of courting process for all parties involved. You two are not just courting the other one, and the other one is not just courting one of you. Everybody's courting each other. So kind of like when you go through the dating process, you have to do it like that to see if this person is compatible with the culture, A, that you've already built, and B, sustainable. So yes, they smash real good. You can clap cheeks all day and it's great. Okay, great. But what about everything else, if that's what you're going for? Can you actually have a relationship with this person? Can y'all pour into them? Can they pour back into you?
You weren't here the other night, but we have this long ass conversation about that. How cigar lounge conversations go.
Don't I?
This one guy, he brought up he had a great analogy.
We'll turn off my computer.
Okay, but he had a great analogy that I told him I was gonna steal it. But he was saying he was talking like Angie, I might need you to help me out on this one. He was talking about finding that right person, the one or the ones. It's like a chair. Now, although a 3-legged chair will stand, a 4-legged chair is more stable. So the 4 legs of that chair got to be your, where y'all got to be compatible spiritually, mentally, sexually, and emotionally. Those are were the four legs of the chair that he talked about. Now I think economics is also plays a part too.
I'd like to see.
And I'm gonna put that in the mental part. But mentally, sexually, emotionally, and spiritually. Now, all the lengths of the chair have to be equal. Because there's one of these chairs where it's not equal.
That's
And
dangerous.
that shit be rocking. And that rock gets on your nerves, and that rock weakens the chair. And after a while, the chair's gonna break. Mm-hmm. So you got a person or persons need to fit into your paradigm like that. But the first thing that you got to do, and which is the point I brought up the other night, you got to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, none of that shit matters, because you would just identify with what the culture says you should be looking for. It's like some of these people run around. I want a man that's 6 foot, 6 foot, 6-figure income, and 6-pack abs.
Okay.
Who are you that you think you're gonna get that? Because the majority of men ain't running around like that, first of all. And then for those few who are, there are certain women that are going to qualify for that dude. Most other women are just not going to because of situationals or what they look for physically or that sort of thing, economics. Because I'm sorry, even though men don't count a woman's pockets, we don't care how much money they make. If you are a woman who is financially struggling, most men who are not financially struggling do not want to carry you. They don't want to bring that. That's a drain.
Another burden.
We cares about our money, right? So we're not going to do that. But not to get caught up into that aspect of the conversation. The fact of the matter is, that's if you don't know who you are, you're not going to be able to figure out who matches up well with you, and you should find people that you match up well with, at least in your primary category.
Absolutely.
That was another question. It said jealousy, envy, hate. That's the white people shit. We love sharing. No, but black women, no, the hell they don't.
Right.
I'm no, the hell sure they don't.
About that one, Gucci.
No, sir. I've talked to many black women in this lounge, and they be like, I ain't sharing.
Hell no.
Hell no, I ain't sharing. I'm greedy. I'm selfish.
I think that a lot of times, so I think that most women would consider it if they felt secure with what they had. Most of the time, I don't think that your wife will want to see you in the throes of passion with another woman, especially if the other woman does something different and you respond different. I think that would play into their psyche a little bit, and make them feel a certain kind of way.
But only because they've been raised in it. When I was in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Yemen, Dubai, Jebel Ali, Bahrain, them people.
Bahrain's fun.
See, everybody run to Dubai. They don't know about Bahrain.
Well, okay.
So anyway, moving right along
that way.
Those women, because they grew up in a culture where that was the norm, they didn't have those same problems. It was normal for them to share. It was normal for them to have for their husbands to go. They know what night is date night. They know who's gonna get some this night, that night. They all get treated fairly, equally. So there was no problem. Now there are sometimes you do have the situation, and we like to highlight the negative.
Yeah,
people love highlighting it. Here's the one situation where the youngest one who just came in is being treated unfairly, or the oldest one is being treated unfairly. We love to highlight those. Mm-hmm. But I've met many Africans who are from like the Gambia, where polygamy is a big thing, and bro, like I got 50 brothers and sisters, and we all one big family. His daddy is the chief, and they doing business, and yeah, he's closer to the kids from his birth mother, but he's close to as many of his brothers and sisters as possible. Because some of his brothers and sisters,
50 is still 50.
Yeah, he was like, I think when I met him, he was like in his 30s, and he got brothers who were like 55. Then he got brothers who were like 12. Yeah. He's like, I don't know that little mama.
That's a lot of birthdays to remember too. Like, damn. Can you run on 50 birthdays?
Hell no. Okay. We ain't celebrating nothing.
Yo, we celebrate every year One day, for
One
everybody's
day,
birthday.
everybody's birthday, family birthday, goddamn. Because you go broke
Quick.
That's like no, hell no. Every month you buying like 7-8 people gifts.
The
No.
chief gets the big gift. All right, whatever.
But no, we don't. That sharing, black people ain't sharing, man. Not like that. It takes an open-minded black woman to be able to do that.
And I was about
and she has to be confident within herself.
Way confident. That's the major part about it. And I will say this. So back when I was dating and single, I had a lot of polyamorous relationships, swinger relationships, polyamorous relationships, however you want to classify it.
You swinging.
Well,
go ahead.
Kinda.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
But it's not. But I'll say this much: if I'm dating this, so she's my girlfriend, and we're gonna introduce somebody else into the mix, there's a certain protocol that needs to be established. My rule was no kissing, right? Okay. That's intimate. That's
you had the pretty woman rule.
No. You know what? I had to have a rule. I realized that. I had to.
Pretty Woman.
Yes, I remember Pretty Woman.
That was the rule.
The dress.
Yeah, but the rule was no kissing.
No kissing.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty Woman rule.
I didn't know it was the Pretty Woman rule, but I got the reference.
All right.
I got the reference. I got it. I'm a movie guy. You know I'm a movie guy.
Then you shouldn't do it.
I did know what you were talking about. Whatever. So I guess this is the a-hole part right here, but and it's believe me, guys, that is not even the tippiest tip of the iceberg.
Hey man, don't ruin my rep.
Okay, my bad.
Nah, you go ahead.
But I will say this much: in doing something like that, or in considering something like that, the number one thing that you have to do, I think the person's idea should be in charge, right? The number one thing that you have to do is make your partner or your primary partner feel comfortable. Period. Sit back. Don't just be like, oh, I'm about to get my menage on. It's all about me. Actually, it's not. It's about your partner first. Okay. As your partner gets more comfortable, they will see to your needs. Okay. Make sure that he or she is comfortable first with everything that's happened. Y'all play with her. Y'all play with the newbie. They'll in turn play with you, right? You have to make sure that everybody is comfortable before you go do it. That's why they have like swingers clubs and stuff like that, so that the comfort level can get up. Maybe you're not smashing at those. It's not like, the famous one, but,
trapeze.
I didn't know if I could say it or not. You know what I mean? I don't know promos and stuff like that gets weird.
No.
So it's not like trapeze where you're going there to smash. You know that, right? There's swingers lounges where you go to meet people and then you go to wherever you're going or the bathroom.
You been going to Johnny Walker's?
There's a place called Johnny Walker's?
Yeah. Okay. I heard
wait a minute. I did hear about that. My boy just told me about that yesterday.
Yeah.
So I heard that was a cougar spot.
It is. It's a cougar swinger spot, and it's an ace of spades.
Huh.
Got a little happy right there.
I'm just okay. Huh. So, I mean,
we was talking about it here. We talking about it.
Now.
You can learn some stuff in the cigar lounge.
Definitely learn some stuff in the cigar lounge. So I would definitely like to when you're introducing, I would definitely like to say, be careful of how you make the introduction. B, be careful of how your primary partner feels, because that's Gucci where the jealousy comes in, right? You got this new chick and she's pretty and you all over her and you're not paying attention to your partner. That's going to cause some dissension in the ranks.
Well, that's why I've always said that the other person, the primary couple has to recognize, if it's a swinging situation, that the other person is just a toy.
That's it.
It's just a toy.
That's it.
When it comes to polygamy, then everybody has to look upon everybody as family. Now, even if let's say, since we dudes, because I wouldn't be in a situation where it's me and another guy and there's one woman. We're not doing that. Yeah. But if it was, then the two guys got to be brothers. The two women, if they're not intimate with each other, then they just have to be sisters.
Right.
And they have to develop that type of bond of a sister. That's why they call them sister wives on that show. But they want to have that sister-like friendship and trust, so that they don't get into all the jealousy. They got to have some great and now this is the man's responsibility, or the primary one's responsibility. You got to have great communication skills. Thanks for It's in Atlanta, Chris. It's in Atlanta.
Honey, can you hear us yet? We do need to sit up. Honey says she can't hear.
What about now? I mean, this microphone's plugged in too.
And this one is too, right?
No, that's plugged into over there.
Okay.
How's the sound now on Facebook?
And while we working on the sound, I think that it could. So the institute that you guys create can be a very fun, liberating experience as you guys like start to explore a new person. Again, just make sure that everybody is on the same page. You know, I know at one point for me the issue was that one of them were really pretty, and she just liked to sit on my lap. And the person that I was with for the longer period, she just didn't like that, you know. So it became weird until, you know, I picked up on it and we had to just adjust. And everybody gets on the same page.
So so you had an ugly girl and you had a pretty girl?
Nobody was ugly. They were all great, but like one was like supermodel level. Like I'm talking pretty supermodel, not the skinny anorexic joints. Like she was short, thick, you know, pretty, and you know, she was with it. But I used to, so I bounced.
That sounds like a lack of maturity on the other girl's part.
It was
because, and then also it is your responsibility to make sure that she feels
welcome. And so again, we had to recalibrate a little bit when I had to step. So this was the scenario. I was bouncing, and I had 2 girlfriends, and I met this other chick, and I immediately I was like, yes, we were just talking, and I called them and was like, yo, listen, I want you guys to come to the club. I want you guys to meet somebody. Initially, it was just she was to just hang out with us. I had my own thoughts, but I brought it to the table, as it were. Everybody was cool with it initially, you know, right? Everybody was cool with it initially. But then as she started to get closer to me, it became a little, well, who she thinks she is that she could push us out. And it wasn't that situation. That's just how Shorty was. And so again, the dating stage uncovers stuff like that. That's why it's so important to have that courting or dating stage where is this person a perfect fit? Because if they're starting to feel like that, you need to recognize that immediately and address it immediately.
Yeah.
And we did.
And see, like one of my guys that a lot of people some of the people on here know about, he's a polygamist. He has a polygamous relationship. And, you know, I was with him through his whole process. And, you know, we talked a lot about it as he was developing it and going through it. But he took the time, he had to date each woman and understand the mindset of each woman and continue to grow with each woman.
What's a passport bro?
Oh, that's a different subject matter. But passport bros are the ones men who have given up on American women and they go overseas and find them a woman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
90-day fiance?
Yeah, kind of like that 90-day fiance. But we kind of sticking with polygamy and polyamory or swinging in that realm.
So I think what you were saying, go and get you a submissive joint from Japan or something like that, and then come back.
Yeah, okay. But why you bring them back to America and mess them up? Yeah. If you don't like American women,
Eddie Murphy already told us about this.
Yeah. But now I do know some brothers who have went over and moved to countries where polygamy is lawful, and they went there to go get them, and they are practicing polygamy,
right?
But you got to develop those relationships, and then whoever you choose as your first wife, y'all then together go and choose the second wife. Yeah. So not only does he have to like her, but she has to like her. Absolutely. They have to be somebody that fits into the paradigm. Absolutely. If it's not, then you're just going to blow up what you initially created. So you have to find the ones that fit. There's a lady on TikTok, though, Arab lady. She was like, "I'm looking for a new husband, another wife for my husband." I love that chick.
That shit right there.
You know, you see,
yeah, that's solid.
But I like that she's taking the lead and on that, because what she's doing is making sure that she likes,
and she has a
the young lady
in the mix.
Right, exactly. When people saw I had a second wife, the first thing they asked was what happened to the first wife. First wife still here 25 years.
So
That's
I'll ask.
That's just a Western mindset.
I'll ask. Is his demographic, his cultural background may be a little bit different, you know?
Yeah, Tafari.
Yeah, and so in his culture, it may be something a little bit more acceptable. And again, not to classify you.
No, I'm classified. What's your culture?
Okay,
shit, I want to know.
That's easy. But yeah, like so.
I don't want to guess. All right, what's your nationality? Because I think I have an idea.
Me too.
But I mean, the Western mindset is going to sit up there, and most people are going to assume that you're only married to one person. So it's a normal question to ask.
But there's also more adultery here.
Yeah, there's way more adultery. If you think about that, there's way more adultery. The divorce rate is much higher in America, but they don't have. But we have monogamy,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
And so is it worth it?
Yeah. And then my favorite aspect of the conversation: the fastest way Black people in America could rise out of their financial position.
Have more people that are
is polygamy. No, it's polygamy. Think about it. If you got 3 people coming into a household and each one of them, shit. Even if you look at the lowest thing and say each person is bringing in
60,000.
No, because 54,000 is the average income in America.
Okay, great.
But that's not the average mean income for Black Americans.
Okay,
it drops down to more around 36.
30. Okay, so let's call it 40.
No, 36.
Okay, then I was just doing it for numbers purpose. Now I got to get out my calculator.
Really?
Whatever. Don't judge me.
Really?
I'm listening. Run it.
If you had 3 people who are making $36,000 a year, now you have 108,000 a year.
Agreed.
Coming into one household.
By anybody's standards, that's great.
And I know that works because I've made that and plus more and have had 6 people in my household when I made it. But I was the only one making that money. So if I got 3 people and we all making 108, I mean, we all making 36, and those 3 people came together under one household, they would be able to afford to buy land, to buy a house, to invest, because they're not paying for 3 different households.
Yep.
They would have money for a whole bunch of things. They will be able to raise their children in better school systems or be active, because now the household workload is now being shared more. So you can be more active in your children's lives and so on and so forth, as far as PTA and sports or arts and them hobbies and things of that nature. Actually, the financial aspect of it makes more sense, and Black people will be able to rise out of our current state much faster if we were able to. Even if you had it like this, let's say you got 3 people in there, 2 people, they all make 36, but one person wants to go to school to become, I don't know, a doctor, right? The 2 people hold it down while the one person goes to school. When the one person finishes school, now they're working as a doctor, then the other person who maybe wanted to go be a lawyer, they can now go to school. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's easier to ramp up because the household is always going to, you got it.
Goes back to those legs on the chair.
Because when it's just one person, if that one person is not making enough money to take care of the entire household, then the other person may not have the ability, or is much harder for them to go make themselves more valuable to the marketplace.
Yep.
And if you're starting a business and you got 2 people working outside the house, bringing in that, they making 36. They bringing in that 72. That 72, they're holding down a household, which gives the business an opportunity to grow,
ramp up, right,
without having to take out from the business. And most businesses fail because they're undercapitalized.
Yep.
So it's a much better financial system than what we do with monogamy. What man say? Grew up in West Bermuda. The males in my family had 2 wives: father, grandfather, great grandfather. Okay.
So
yeah, I'll completely off.
Yeah, me too. Culture, but again, still culture is still different.
A different culture, so you have a different mindset. It's just, if you here in America, bro, the Americans, they'll mess up your stuff. I'm not gonna lie. The American mentality, the Western mentality will mess your stuff up, because Americans love to bring people up, but they love even more so to tear people down.
Right.
Girl, you got 2 husbands. I couldn't deal with that. I ain't sharing my man with nothing. That means you don't know what he doing with the other one, and he treat her better, and they get all into their ear, and they start listening to that bullshit,
demonizing the situation,
and they start making that person so. Well, maybe now she was perfectly happy, but you know, them little friends. Like, if I was put in a polygamous relationship right now, the only true friends we would have would be other people who are in polygamous relationship. Other than family, it'd be because I'm not dealing with foolishness.
People say that about marriage too, right?
Yeah.
You know, so your single friends do this and that and whatever, and you know, causes some type of strain. And I mean, yeah, it happens. And again, it's your duty to manage that.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy.
But if I'm not in a committed, if I'm in a committed relationship, and you not, and you out there partying and bar hopping, I'm not going partying and bar hopping with you. We can go play golf.
I mean,
we can sit in the lounge.
I might party and bar hop a little bit.
I'm a party and bar hop. I'm gonna do it with my lady. Okay. Or my ladies.
Right.
I'm not going out with you when you're trying to score.
I mean,
I'm not doing that.
I could play wingman. You know what I'm saying? Like I've done it. Like
I'm not.
I have more swag than most. So
I'm not even gonna put it in there. I'm not even gonna put it out there. I believe in protecting the relationship to the point where don't even put yourself in a position. No matter how strong you are, I won't even put myself in a position because yeah, I can have a woman trying to get at me and I'll be nice about it, but you know, I'm gonna turn her ass down.
I get phone numbers all the time and I never call, but
no, I ain't taking your phone number. I ain't taking your phone number. You ain't taking no pictures with me.
Definitely not taking no pictures. But
you're not hugging up on me.
I'm
damn sure not buying you a drink.
Not. Nope.
You know, that's not happening. I'm just saying
I got kids.
And you do how you do.
I gotta buy bottles.
I'm just saying for me, I don't even put myself in a position for any situation to look funny. I try not to. You can't. Sometimes you're gonna mess it up, but I try my best not to. And if I see a situation, I try to eliminate it.
Fair.
Like I've said in here, even when I was single, and that we had women in here, I would make sure the women in here knew what type of woman I like, just to make sure they know.
I will say this much:
y'all not them.
There, when you sitting over there, you're very clear on that. You know, so I will say that much.
Yeah, because I don't want. I look. Don't fool yourself. There's a certain body types I like.
Yeah.
There's certain mentalities I like. There's certain spiritualities I like. You know, no. If you can't fit it, if you know you don't fit in my category, don't try to
insert yourself. Yeah,
and they don't.
Fair enough.
And they've said it.
But that's boundaries that are set. You know what I mean? And you've apparently done a clear boundary or created a clear boundary. Excuse me. You've done a good job with letting it be known that look, this is what we do.
Yeah.
What's this?
Lloyd said, I don't know what the
108,000 is interesting. Do we think polygamy will eventually permeate Western culture?
What is the 108,000?
The income, the total income.
Oh, yeah, we did say that. Anyway.
Yeah. So no.
Yes.
I don't think that it'll permeate Western culture.
Why not?
It could, but I don't think it will.
Why not?
Because there's too many people that are against it. And so when you have a political structure that's against it, that's really, really hard to allow for it to become a thing.
You had a political structure against black people.
Agreed.
You had a political structure against the alphabet people.
They weren't against black people. What they were against was success of black people or black people being equal.
So one of those out this country. What are you talking about?
No, they did it. Like we talked about it, but that's how Liberia or Libya? Liberia. That's how Liberia was kind of founded. But
kind of founded. That's exactly
well, not kind of, but yeah, how it was founded. But that Exodus, they didn't just say, all right, put these motherfuckers back on the boats and get them out. You know.
Yes, that Lincoln and Andrew did, just like they did the Indians. Get your ass to Oklahoma.
Okay, so what they did? So how is everybody else here?
Oh, because it didn't work.
That's my point. And so,
but I'm saying I understand what you're saying. The political structure, though, but
like if you think about it, like is it Mormons that have multiple wives?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like even those
not anymore.
Oh, okay.
And this is gonna lend to your advantage. I forgot what year it was. It was in the 1800s when I think it was 1800s or early 1900s when Utah wanted to become a state. One of the things that they told Utah is that you have to get rid of polygamy, otherwise your statehood is going to be denied.
Right.
So then they changed their religion to fit, but yet some of them said, "No, we're not going for that bullshit." So so when you say permeate,
Chris,
to what degree do you mean by permeate Western culture?
Become accepted one day? Yes, I do think that
become legal.
It could. It could. Same-sex marriages became legal.
Exactly.
And so it could.
It could.
It could, especially in today's climate. Legal, yes, that's more.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, permeate. So maybe my understanding or definition of permeate would have been, which is why I appreciate the. What do you mean by permeate? So, will it become the norm?
Hell no.
No, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think it'll become the norm. Can it become legal? Yes. Can it become more socially acceptable? Absolutely.
Yeah. But most people doing it, no. I don't think that's going to be most people doing the thing, but it can.
I'm with Chris on this one because I don't think because of Black women, but I definitely think because of religion.
No, I think also because of Black women.
So I think that Black women will do it. And I hate to say the blanket statement of Black women, but I think Black women are more acceptable to do it because, it's not because, when they are comfortable. See, a lot of Black women that have done it that I've spoken to, their issue is that this motherfucker gonna run off with the new piece. And it has happened. And I've seen it happen. And I've also seen the chick run off with the new chick. So, like,
yeah, you're gonna have the negative. But you know what? I'm gonna retract my statement of Black women. Okay. And the reason why I'm gonna retract it is because of, and this is gonna sound actually worse, but because humans have sheep mentality, especially when they see something successful. So if you start seeing, when it becomes more normalized, socially accepted, and you start seeing that some of your more well-to-do Black families are polygamous families, that's when they're going to start copying and they're going to feel more relaxed about it.
Let's do polygamy because we can get our money right.
Yeah. Because think about it. Not that women are gold diggers, but women are in hunt of security. That is something that you see throughout all animal kingdoms, and we are animals. That one of the things, every woman wants to feel protected emotionally, mentally, physically, and financially, since we're in our society. So that financial security is a big player. And if a woman is looking and saying that, well, shit, I'm down here struggling. I got little Larry now. But I see old girl, she had little James, but then she got in a polygamous relationship. And now little James is going to the better schools. She got more money. She got more free time. Dude is treating everybody right, treating little James like his own, and everybody's being treated fairly. She will then open herself up to it. And then each generation, as they come up, it becomes more normal. And then some are just going to say, you know what? That's what I recommend.
The fathers in his community had 2 wives, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's, hey, I got 2 wives, and it's just what we do.
Yeah. I mean, hell, I knew my grandfather. He didn't have 2 wives, but he had a whole nother family.
And again, that goes
back. Found out later on. It was later on. But
I have a few family members in my family that had multiple families, but it didn't, I mean, hey.
But when I think about that, though, my grandfather, he didn't start it early. This was something he started when I was about 10 years old. That's why I have an uncle who's younger than me. But about 10 years old. Now, after I got over my emotions, because when I first saw that, it pissed me off.
Was it because of lack of understanding?
Actually, I was about 12. Well, betrayal. Okay. How could he do this? That's my grandmother. My grandmother, that's my heart. Like, the woman I've loved the most in my life is my grandmother. So, I'm going to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. Where's that?
That's bullshit. But anyway, no, she, as I got older and I thought about it, I was like, how much easier it would have been if he wasn't paying for a whole family up in Atworth, Georgia, and he's paying for a whole family in Marietta, Georgia. He's splitting his money. He's trying to split his time, all this stuff, because it's not socially acceptable. I thought it was messed up. If for me, if let's say when I first time I got married, if she would have been like cool with polygamy, I would have just had polygamous relationship.
Of course.
We'd have had, and we'd have all been shit. Money would have been
One
banked.
big happy family.
And I know I go to money a lot because
That's your thing.
well, it's not just that. People always say money can't buy you happiness. Yes, fuck it can. It can buy you the experiences and the opportunities to be happy. It provides the gateway, the keys to the door. The misuse of money, the love of money, the I'm gonna ignore my family because of money. I'm going to, trample on people because of money. That part. But and if I'm gonna be miserable, I want to be miserable in a much nicer place.
So I will say this much. I agree 100% with that. Money buys you time. Now, what do I mean by time? Let me go ahead and break that down. Oh, Brandon, you can't add. Oh, Harlem, you can't add more time to your life. No, maybe not. Not in the traditional way. I will say this
Actually,
much.
in today's world, you can
Sure can.
get better medicine,
better medicine, better this, better that. Better food. But my interpretation of it is this. So money buying you time is I don't necessarily mean more time for you because you can go ahead and eat the best foods and have the best medicine and still get hit by a car.
Yeah.
So what I will say is it's purchasing other people's time to do what you can't do. So for a business, the reason why you pay people, you're paying for their time so that they can do a portion of what you would be doing. All right. That being said, if you had more money, you could now let's just put it in the most basic sense: buy a nanny or pay for a nanny,
right?
Pay for a house cleaner, pay for the laundry person, pay for a cook, right? Now you don't have to worry about any of that. Now 90% of your time can be devoted to family, this, that, the third, vacation, whatever. And you can do all of that, and you're buying more time with your family. You're buying more time for the things that you want, and you're using money or currency for it. So that's what I mean by that. If, to your point, you had a relationship where there were multiple streams of income coming in, and each of those individuals maybe had multiple streams of income, guess what? You now took your 108K that we were talking about and magnified that to something different. I won't even put a number on it, but your imaginations can go with it, and you could put numbers on that, right? And so, yes, it takes a little time sacrifice in the beginning, but once you get afloat, then you can do that. Most of the time, we're stressed out because we can't afford to go on vacation, right? I can't leave my job to go on vacation. And then now that I'm thinking about vacation, I got to take 5 people with me. But if you had multiple streams of income coming into the support of one common goal, then you could take that and you could have vacation. You could take that 36,000. We're going to do all the fun stuff with your income if we just did it like that. We're going to pay the bills with these 2 incomes and grow the business with these 2 incomes. All the fun stuff comes with this income. You got $36,000 now a year to do you, to play, to go out. We can go ahead and explore the world and do all of that stuff.
And you can do some nice things with that.
Oh, you sure can. Right? Yeah. Especially in today's climate when it's cheap to go ahead and go.
Because most people don't have $36,000 to go play with. To go on vacations and all that. Now they don't.
What would that do to your family dynamic?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying the money part is the part that I like the most. Oh, we're going to get to some of these questions as well.
Yeah, I want that. Yeah, I want that.
What are y'all thoughts on saying happy wife, happy life?
Most of those people are cheaters.
That's some bullshit.
Most of those people are cheaters. So when I first got married, one of my boys, Troy, he was like, yo, I was arguing with my wife a point, and he was just like, yeah, you ain't learned yet. Happy wife, happy life. Just agree with it. Now, this particular person has never been faithful to his wife. You know what I mean? Maybe the day they got married, right? But the reason why is because, give her whatever she wants, I'm going to do me, right? And so is that really happy wife? If she ever found out about it, and she has a couple of times, but if she ever found out about it, what does that do to it?
Look,
so no.
I had a happy wife, but I wasn't getting no pum on the regular.
Bingo. See?
So I wasn't.
And guess what? Are you going to go look for that somewhere else?
Exactly. So I divorced her.
Or that.
But, had a wife, moved out the country, moved downtown, got her a car. She had a BMW. She's living life fantastic. She wanted to change her job because she never had an opportunity to really do what she wanted to do. She had the opportunity to go do whatever she wanted to do. She had everything that she wanted, got everything she wanted. I wasn't happy because she wasn't fulfilling what I needed. So for me, it's happy spouse, happy house. because
There you go.
both spouses have to be doing, both or all three, all four or five, need to be doing whatever is necessary to make the other spouses happy. Because everybody's happiness is just as important as the other. Because I was told that happy wife, happy life bullshit, but it is everybody has to be happy in the house. And just because your wife is happy doesn't mean that the husband's gonna be happy,
Right.
or vice versa. So both parties have to be happy. Whatever it takes to make the other person happy, you gotta be willing to do it.
Especially if that's your spouse.
Yeah, and y'all have heard me say before. My grandmother said, "Whatever you did to get her, you gotta do twice as much to keep her."
Mm-hmm.
That goes both ways.
I was just about to say vice versa on that, because I mean, everybody goes back to why they fell in love and why they got married, maybe. But then after, I feel like after there's a saying in the military and the private service: complacency kills. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So complacency kills. After you've got it, after you've gotten her, well, you know what? I don't need to have the body or the swag anymore. I don't need to take her out anymore. I got her. Where's she going?
Yeah.
That is the easiest way to get your partner to dip out on you.
And let me tell you guys something. And this is go for me too. This is why I've changed some things recently.
Me too.
If she didn't get with you, and when she got with you, you didn't have a belly, but now you got one.
Yep.
Just because she tolerates it, does not mean it's okay for you to maintain it.
Bingo.
Get your beer belly ass in the gym,
which is why I'm back in the gym, out, down 20 pounds.
Or that's why I cut meat out of my diet again, because somebody been meeting me up and I've been kind of gained 30 pounds.
Chunky, yeah.
So it got to go, because when she met me, I didn't have this.
That wasn't.
She nicknamed this motherfucker. How you gonna nickname?
What's the nickname?
I'm not telling you.
Do it. Come
on. No, because I know how y'all. No, I know how y'all are in here.
It's for the fam.
But in here, no, hell no.
All right, come on. We're not in here right now. We over here. We over here.
But you come here.
I do, but we over here right now.
Nope. Anyway, so moving right along. What my man said. How do you feel about polyandry? Polyandry, I believe that's when the wife
has two husbands. Yeah. Or multiple. I think it's a fair institution. I think if I can have two wives, I think that she can have two husbands. I'm not gonna be one of the husbands though. That's just not my thing. My thing about either swinging, polyamory, or polygamy is this: I think that everybody needs to get in on the action. So I'm not attracted to men. So for me to have a brother husband, that's not gonna work for me, because I'm not smashing him. And so
you don't have that. I don't think everybody has to be in on action. Okay, but you go ahead.
Right. So yeah, I'm not. So now have I smashed? So I've smashed chicks like with my brothers, cousins, and we gunned it down or whatever. You take the front, I take the back. We good. Switchies, and we, so
all the New Yorkers just coming out.
So I mean, it's fun when you and your brother clapping cheeks or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And shorty is, overwhelmed, right? You know what I'm saying? It's fun. It's a good thing.
Right. Plus, it's all about her. Y'all are both focused on her. She getting all the
business. Exactly.
Yeah, she getting like all the best out of it.
Exactly. And so for her, I think for a lot of women, that's a fantasy that gets fulfilled, and they're like, "Yo, wow, that was great." So for me, I would not be in a relationship like that though. Like, so me and my brother would not be in a committed relationship with this chick. However, will we go and smash this joint that we met at the club? Absolutely. So polyandry, I don't think there's anything wrong with it if all parties involved are cool with it.
I think, it's just going to be more difficult, because in order to have a polyandry relationship, and I'm going to use the alpha, beta, delta classifications, the woman is going to have to be an alpha woman, because she's going to have to be in charge of that relationship.
Absolutely.
All right. The dudes, you cannot have an alpha male involved in that at all, because he's going to supersede the other male. It's not going to be fair in any framework,
unless they're bi, and then
unless they're bi. You're right. If they're gay,
right?
Men can't be bi.
I think they can be, but whatever.
Yeah, you know how it is.
Got it. Okay, gay. Whatever.
Once you take a dick, that's it. Men can't be bi.
I heard it's a pain in the ass.
It just don't work. I mean,
chubby buddies. Yo,
yeah,
Chris,
I
you out of
saw
control.
that shit. That's messed up. But so the alpha male is going to dominate, and the alpha male is going to be primary. That works in the wolf community.
The wolf, yeah.
And it works in the lion community because they have an alpha and a beta.
Mm-hmm.
But because we have the ability to reason and because we emotionalize things, I don't think two alpha males is going to work. And then there's an alpha woman because there's a leadership problem. You can't have three generals.
I agree.
You somebody got to be the 4-star. Somebody can be a 3-star and a 2-star, and you can have colonels and lieutenant colonels.
All of that,
but you're not gonna have two 4-star generals trying to wage war. Trying to run a battalion. It's not gonna work. So, but if they're beta males, they still gonna have some conflicts. If they're Charlie males have ego problems and think that they're alphas. Like I listen to guys say, "Well, I'm an alpha male," but I'm looking at how they are and how they act and how they talk, and
more likely than not, you're a Charlie.
Motherfucker, you're a Charlie. Shut up.
Right.
You just got ego that's making you think that.
It makes you look
She's
like
she's going to have two delta males, two submissives. That's going to be the best case. I'm saying
best case scenario. Okay,
he's going to be two delta males. Now, don't get me wrong. I have met some delta males, and because I used to train their wives.
How?
Personal training. Man.
Okay, just check. I mean,
and them jokers were making money. So how much money they make doesn't really matter. I mean, what their classification doesn't matter. How much that doesn't dictate how much money they're going to make. But I've met some of them who they went to school, they got the job, they're good at their job, but as far as leading, they require somebody to lead them.
Right.
That's the perfect scenario, in my opinion, for polyandry. And I think it's going to be harder because unless the woman wants to be the leader of the relationship, she's not going to want. Most women don't want, most women don't want to be the leader in the relationship.
Okay.
They want to be able to lean on a man to take charge. You want to make, and especially when it comes to safety, you walking down the street, somebody insults you. You don't want your man saying that, "Oh, baby, we just need to leave it alone." And
what if it's Mike Tyson?
The rest, whatever, I'm gonna shoot him. We just need. Okay. I ain't fighting Mike Tyson. I'll shoot that motherfucker. I ain't fighting him. Shit.
Baby, you need to leave that shit alone. Stop playing, baby. Why you acting like that?
As I reach. But you know what I'm saying, though? You gonna want a man to defend your honor. So, but delta males don't do that.
So let me also say this. If you went with that ideology, I could say a beta male could work. But there's
two beta males?
Well, maybe a beta and a Charlie or a beta and a delta.
You could Charlie ain't gonna work at all.
You don't think so?
Charlies are too egotistical. Charlies are narcissistic. Charlies.
But then that would be that's the emotional one, and I think that you need that in a relationship too, because he's the baby.
No, well, a Charlie?
Yep.
No, because alpha or beta gonna wind up whooping his ass,
and it happens.
Right, so he gonna be a disturbance in the force. I think
you're just gonna have to regularly check that one.
Who wants all that? That's drama.
Well, and again, some relationships need a little bit of drama to it breaks up the monotony.
I don't need no drama.
Well, maybe not you, maybe not me, but
like you're right. There are people who require
drama. A little bit, enough to where this motherfucker's in the corner sulking every now and then, and you got to go ahead and play, pacifier. Pun intended.
I say an alpha and a delta, beta and a delta, that could work. Alpha and a beta, I don't think that'll work. Two alphas, two betas, I don't think that'll work. But those other and two deltas, that'll work for a woman. And I actually know I only know of one woman who does that, who has that, and her situation is, both of them are doctors, the two men.
Mm-hmm.
They work opposite shifts. They deltas, but they're good at their craft. They ain't gonna ever be over the chief of the medical department.
Right.
Fuckers ain't got no leadership. But they neurosurgeons.
Hey,
she's an engineer,
which makes her very smart and calculated.
Oh, their bank is nice.
Yeah, and check out the bank on them, right?
Oh, that bank is real nice. Now I think, and the other thing about alphas is like, this is gonna be the hardest part too.
Okay,
who baby is that?
Theirs.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so think about it, right?
That's why two deltas would work. Because two deltas would say theirs. But that alpha is going to have that thing inside of him that especially, and you know how we are, especially if it's a boy.
So
carry my bloodline.
Okay.
Who name they carry?
Yeah, that there is a good question.
You carrying a woman's name?
I don't know how to answer that because that's an interesting theory.
What's your wife's maiden name?
Raphael.
So you're gonna be Brandon Raphael?
No, I'm not.
The baby's gonna be Raphael's?
They're not.
Right, exactly my point.
But I'm a different.
But if you
I'm
use
not
a delta, but if you use a delta, you'll be okay. She would make a logical argument that in order to make sure that everybody feels equal, the babies are going to carry her maiden name, and you two mothers are going to carry my maiden name.
Wow, that's it.
Tell me what Alpha, Beta, or Charlie is going to accept that. Only a Delta is going to accept
it. If they're with that, I could not accept that.
Only a Delta is going to accept that.
Okay.
Alpha, Beta, Charlie ain't going to accept that.
So what if okay, for children, that is a very solid, valid argument. If there's no children involved, maybe she don't want to have kids. Then what?
Yeah. Now, if you're older, that part of it is out of it. Doesn't matter.
Okay. So, Chris is on a roll.
This is why I just stay single. Smash who I want. Send them home. Only Polly I want.
As if her name is Polly. Chris is on a roll.
No, but somebody said something earlier that I also want to address. It was concerning it permeating our society. And they said something about religion. That was Christian religion.
Yeah.
So in the religion, let me tell you, this is the thing, and y'all know how we roll about religion on here. Religion adjusts to culture. The religion adjusts to culture. All you have to do, if you wanted to change a church into being okay with polygamy, all you have to do is start preaching about how God, this deity, deified Abraham in his polygamous relationship, because out of the birth of Ishmael came the tribes of the Arab people and Islam, and a great nation was still given. God still gave honor to Hagar and Ishmael.
Mm-hmm.
In order for this deity to create the 12 tribes of Israel, he instituted where he was the one behind Laban tricking Jacob in order to give him Leah, because this God knew that Rachel was only going to be able to produce 2 biological children. And so through Leah and through Bilhah and somebody, I forgot her name, he was able to produce the 12 tribes of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a way for them to utilize the same writings in the book to change the narrative, which is what culture does to religions anyway. Culture changes the narrative so that it fits into whatever our current mindset is.
I agree with that. And
religion
and it's supported in the Bible.
Religion won't stand away. It's just like you go to some of these black churches now, they got unks up there.
Right. Well, there's only one place in the Bible a couple of places in the Bible, but that mentions it, and I believe that it says leaders should be married to one wife.
Yes, pastors and
pastors and preachers,
bishops, pastors, deacons.
Right. They should be married to only one wife. So that only talks about the leadership in the church.
Right.
It doesn't talk about the flock, and it also doesn't talk about somebody that just goes there for a word every now and then. So
so it's easier to change it in religion.
Absolutely.
So they can change it. And once this changes, if you get a church to change it and that church becomes popular, then
the curious mindset will,
and it changes it'll change in the community, because when people attach whatever, when black women and men start attaching their relationships to the church, and the church is saying that polygamy is okay, then they'll become more acceptable of it.
Correct.
And then when they start seeing, oh, here comes Harlem and his 3 wives, and they pulled up in the Escalade, and all the kids look good, and they look happy. They go home. I know they live in, up there in a nice house and all this stuff. Oh, they'll change it.
Yeah,
they'll change it. They'll become amenable to it.
And that's all she wrote.
And they'll be good to go. Wouldn't be any leaders in the church. Nah, there gonna still be some leaders in the church, cause that money good.
Right. So for Chris, yeah, you're right. They will bring up the Old Testament, and my question for that usually starts out like this. So, do you abide by the whole Bible? They're going to say, well, Christ came down and died for our sins, but there's nothing in there that says that's a sin. And in Timothy, I believe it is, that's where they start to go and they say that the leaders of the church shouldn't be. So the New Testament doesn't talk against polygamy. It's just not commonly practiced, as Renz was saying. It's just not commonly practiced. So for that, there's no.
Well, it was commonly practiced.
New Testament,
and it was commonly practiced then.
I mean New Testament. I mean here, like it's not commonly practiced now.
Yeah, I mean,
so yeah,
them Hebrew people they was
getting it right as long as you were the leader of the church, right? And then so my next statement to that would be the only thing that they could say is, well, you're having adultery because you're not married, and that's a little bit different. That's when we kind of get into the swinging part of it. In the dating stage, are you becoming sexually intimate with this person, right? Then there's an argument for that's against the Bible.
But if you're spiritually married to somebody, then actually let me put it like this.
So you have to be spiritually married to them first. Okay, run it.
This is the real deal as far as how the Bible, if people actually read their Bibles and followed it, then they would understand this premise. If you have sex with a woman who is not married to anybody else, meaning she's a virgin, that's your wife.
Okay.
If she is married to somebody else, then that's adultery.
So are we talking about
when
you institute of marriage or spiritually married because you laid?
We're talking about how the institution of marriage has nothing to do with paperwork.
Copy.
All right.
So we're talking about spiritually.
So marriage happens when two people decide to have sex with each other, and then they want to be with each other, and they have sex.
So we've all committed adultery unless we've only slept with virgin.
Well, not virgin. I shouldn't say virgin, because divorce in the Bible is divorce in their customs and their mindsets is if you have to be away from the woman for over 30 days, you don't talk to her, you don't deal with her, you don't have sex with her, then you can get divorced. Even here in the state of Georgia, if you file for divorce but you've had sex within 30 days of the hearing, they will not grant you a divorce because you are still in a state of marriage.
Copy.
Y'all can live in the same house, y'all can ride in the same car, y'all can go to work together, you can talk, you can kiss, but if y'all have sex,
that's it.
Georgia says you are still in the state of marriage, so you got to wait 30 days. They get that from the Bible. So when and the Quran.
No, I'm saying look at Quran, my eye.
But when you do that, and we're gonna get to you too, Marcus. So basically, what I'm saying is, every time you have sex when a woman hasn't been with another man for over 30 days and so on, so over 30 days ain't dealt with, and then you have sex with her, that's your wife.
Okay.
You ain't committing adultery, that's your wife.
Okay.
So we ain't out here running, only when you have sex with someone who's married or who's having sex with another person, that's adultery, according to this tradition.
Right, according to the tradition.
Yeah, let's see what anyway. A man said, he said, what do you think about Nick Cannon and Antonio Cromartie, who have multiple kids by multiple women? And there's a bunch of dudes who do that. We're gonna tackle a bunch of this shit. All right, man, why you take away the other one, Marcus? Because we're gonna talk about that one too. So actually, I think they're stupid. I have all 8 women or all 6 women in the same goddamn house, and we'd all be doing it together instead of all that damn child support he put in.
Mariah Carey's like a princess or something like that now.
Oh yeah, he does have her.
So
but I would for those guys just practice polygamy. It's cheaper. And all your kids are growing up, getting to know each other. You're together. You can be a father to all your kids at the same time. You ain't got to go over here and go over there and go over there and this state, that state. It's all togetherness.
Shit, even Jerry Springer did it.
Oh, and that was his other one. What kind of problem could arise from so-called polygamous households? No, see, that's why I'm supposed to be doing this and not you.
Well, I was trying to help so you knock
scroll
everything
up.
over.
Polygamous household where men have lots of kids by many different women. I mean,
this is the household though, like. So like that show, what is it, 13 and counting or 19 and counting or something like that?
I think that could there be problems of jealousy? Sure. But that's where you have to manage those jealousies. Yep. So like one of my friends who's up in North Carolina, he has 2 wives. One wife, and y'all have heard me say this before, Because it's a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's perfect. When they first got together, one wife likes flowers, the other one don't.
Okay.
So he will make sure that the one likes flowers, she gets flowers. The one who didn't like flowers, he didn't give her flowers. He gave her what
Chocolate,
stuff that she
whatever.
liked. Let's say she was
Yeah.
chocolate. I forgot what it was that she liked. But then the one who liked chocolate, all of a sudden she saw how happy the one who got flowers were, and she started, ooh and gushing over it. So he recognized that she likes flowers now. So then he started giving her flowers too. And the one who didn't like chocolate, if she starts liking chocolate, then you start giving her chocolate as well.
Where's
it's up to you to manage it.
That's the issue that most people have.
When they get in, if there's an argument in the household, if the two people can't resolve it, then all three, all four, whatever number is, they need to resolve it. And the same with children. And the kids can't be treated differently. You have to treat all the kids the same, which you don't. And when I say treat the kids the same, I have 3 kids. I treated them the same but different. All of them got 4, but Sydney was 2 plus 2.
Right.
Simone was 3 plus 1.
Right.
And Lincoln is 4 plus 0.
Right. Yeah.
He just one goddamn way. So they all equal 4. It's just equal 4 differently.
Right.
And you just have to do that with all of them.
And I will say, as fun as it sounds and as fun as it actually is, it's a lot of work too. If anybody's ever been in a leadership position, the one thing is managing multiple personalities. Some multiple personalities within the same person, but you have to manage multiple personalities effectively all the time. And so you have to also be very, very, very conscious of what's happening. You have to watch always. How are these two people interacting? If there's some static or something is brewing, you need to step in and address it. Don't always trust that they'll do it on their own, because more likely than not, they won't. You have to manage that. You have to check in regularly. You have to make sure that you're not devoting too much time to one over the other. And so for the brother that's contemplating it, I think that you could contemplate it, talk it out, make sure that you include your partner. Don't just come home with some naked chick on the bed and be like, hey baby, look what I did. And it's not gonna fly the way that you thought it was going to, Yeah. So make sure that you're doing it in a way that's appropriate to your partner. Know that you know what she's like, you know how she is. Compliment that. Don't force it. Compliment it. Have the conversations while you guys are being intimate. Watch some porn with another person if that's what it's about. Threesomes and such or whatever, and start there. Start introducing it slowly, seeing what it's about. Do some research. Join forums like this, and see if that's a good fit.
Go hang out and talk to other polygamous people.
Absolutely. See if it's a good fit.
Like I was talking to this one girl, and I had brought it up to her, and she started talking about, oh, we can have another woman, but the way she wanted to treat her, I started listening to, in context to what she was talking about. She's gonna be doing all the lunch. She's gonna be cleaning. Her room gonna be down in the basement.
Yeah. So
I said, you want a slate?
Yeah, that's an S&M kind of deal.
And I was like,
you know what I mean?
Nah.
But
she had this thing. I gotta be number one. You can't love her more than you love me.
There's a space.
And I was like, nah. See, I don't even love you, but nah.
There's a space for that too, though. Like, so in some S&M relationships, the sub fits that category.
If you are doing that, if you're into the S&M thing, then yes.
And it doesn't always have to be spanking and beating and chaining and stuff like that. But the sub would be the wife, if you will, like so
if that's what you want, if that's what y'all get y'all kicks on, then you find a person who matches up with that, and that's what it comes down, matchup.
Right.
It's all about the matchup. You get the right matchup, and that's what you have to figure out. And you have to define: is this woman that your lady friend, is she the one? Do you definitely want to be with her? And then bringing in this other person, their dynamic is going to have to fit whatever both of y'all dynamics are.
Exactly.
And then it can work. It can't be somebody who's going to want something different. And then if they ever do want something different, let them go. Let them go, because people change. People will change. As you grow, as you have experiences, they change. I've met some women who said that, oh yes, I want to be poly. I want to be poly. I want to be poly. Then they get into poly,
they don't
like it,
right? And then so now, what does that look like?
Yeah, I've seen someone want to be polygamous. They get into it, and then they realize this is not for me.
Right.
Like, Kara said she can share anything, but except she ain't sharing her man. So
That's fair though. That's not for her.
No, that's not for you. You know.
So and I mean, I don't.
So you couldn't be with a man who wants poly,
right?
Or you couldn't be with a man who wants polygamy, polyamory, or swinging.
Right. If that's a deal breaker for him, then unless she's giving out hall passes, which by the comment it doesn't seem like that's what happened. Right.
She don't want to share a man.
Then he's not the guy. Or he, you know, and don't get me wrong, you know, you can be every woman. It's if the guy is into this, then he's gonna struggle.
And you have to realize you're not just sharing your man sexually. You're gonna share him emotionally as well.
Yep.
You know, so you gotta share his time, which you might like that part. Like,
right.
I need some space, man.
Right. Okay. Sure, you don't want to go out, you know. So, but yeah, I'm a dip.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
All right.
I got a couple of clients to go see. Hey, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube land has been great. I want to see y'all again. This was kind of fun. Let's do this again sometime. I'm out.
This ain't gonna be no coach show and shit. Man.
Nah, I mean, you never know. You know what I'm saying?
Hell,
you never know.
I don't like sharing my podcast.
I just no podcast polygamy for you?
No podcast polygamy. God damn it. We just swinging on podcasts. Every now and then. Yeah, I guess we'll have this guy back again another time. He was all right. But I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, bro.
Do you have any social? What do you do on social media?
So remember,
I'm having deja vu right now.
I also make shirts, like you know, like little custom clothing and whatnot.
What's your shirt? How would they know where to find you?
So it'll be Bussue Clothing, Bussue Clothing.
Bussue.
My grandmother's last name.
Bussue.
Yeah, Bussue Clothing.
Bussue Clothing.
Yes. And you can Instagram that.
I didn't know you made shirts.
I do.
We gotta talk about that.
We should.
I need some shirts.
Copy.
Why haven't you talked to me about that?
I did. When you had the popcorn joint over there.
You know what? I hate you.
Okay.
All right.
Why didn't I remind you? That's my bad. You're right.
Yeah, that part.
There you go.
Yeah, let me get some. Yeah, that part right there.
Copy. Send them over.
All right, man.
We'll link up and then talk about it. Just let me know what your timeline looks like, and we'll make something happen.
All right. No problem.
All right, brother. Travel light.
Travel light. You can leave it unlocked. Well, you can't lock it anyway. All right. Yep, we're in that extra time now. So if you've been celibate for 10 years or more, the first person you have sex with becomes your spouse. If you follow the biblical standards, then yeah, that first person becomes your spouse, according to that. Because like the best man's job was to announce that y'all not got it in, and now y'all married. The ceremonies, the paperwork, none of that stuff matters. Your sexual relationship, that's what makes you married, according to that tradition, and most traditions. Whether it's Hindu, Buddhist, almost every tradition, consummating the marriage is the marriage. So, you say 10. Now, is that true? You've been 10 years? More power to you. I think I would die. 10 years is a long time. I'm not gonna harp on that. So I'm gonna keep going. 10 years. Wow. But let me move this microphone over here. Yes. So, but that's how the tradition. So, what is your Michelle? What is your what tradition do you follow? And that will be. If I knew what tradition you follow, I can be even more detailed in it. But yeah, because like we said before, and like Marcus said here, religion follows culture. So our culture doesn't say that. Our culture says that you have to get a marriage certificate in order for you to be married. Mind you, the United States didn't really start issuing out marriage certificates in large numbers until income taxes came about. Now, ain't that some shit? Ain't that some mess right there? Marriage certificates didn't start because people wanted to prove their marriage. Only rich people got marriage certificate back in the day because it was all about inheritance. So it was all about the money. The money is why marriage certificates started for rich people. Then when income taxes started, federal income taxes started in America, that's when marriage certificates became a big thing because people needed a way to prove that they were married in order to get um, that 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 deductible. So marriage certificate is all about money. Marriage in itself has always been a contract dealing with finances. I got a daughter. You want to marry my daughter? I need 10 goats, 7 cows, some frankincense and myrrh. Had to pay that dowry. So it's always people. Some people get irritated with me because I talk about polygamy and I'll talk about the financial aspect of it. But even when you're doing monogamy, it's a financial contract. It is completely a it ain't completely, but it's a financial contract. It's great when you can get married and there's love involved, but finances are also always involved. You have to involve finances. I've broken up some people. I've broken from people that I was dating because finances. Oh, you want me to do what? And you supposed to do it, and you think that's gonna work this way? No, we're not doing that. So bye. Yeah. Um, but I'm really curious, Michelle. What's your tradition? What's your religion, if you have one at all? Now, as far as like now to drill down into some of the other problems that you will have if you was in a polygamous relationship, you're gonna have to deal with social scorn. Schools and stuff are more accepting right now when people say, "Oh, I have two mommies, I have two daddies." They will accept the fact that you have a polygamous relationship, but they're gonna talk shit about you. You know, would they do something to your children? Most likely not. Are they going to talk about you in the neighborhood? Probably yes. If you might have neighbors who don't understand or who have an issue with it. Those neighbors, you may not get invited to the picnic. You know, you ain't getting invited to the cookout. Maybe uh, the wife of the if you're a guy with two wives and you live next door to another monogamous couple, that wife probably is not going to like your wives. That wife will probably try to talk trash to your wives and convince them that they are not in the best type situation and that sort of thing. And so you might want to keep them away from them. So you're going to have some social issues that you're going to have to deal with. So you'll have that problem. If you allow those things to entrench themselves in your relationship, then your relationship is going to end. It'll end. So you don't want to allow yourself to get caught up where other people have too much access to your relationship. Y'all have to keep it in house. If you're not making sure that everybody's treated fairly, everybody's getting their just due, then you might have a situation of jealousy, right? Or if let's say the two wives aren't intimate with each other, and when you go in one wife, when y'all are having sex and you making her holler holler, but the other one ain't hollering like that, there may become some jealousy of, well, what are you doing over there? You must like her more because you must be doing something to make her feel, hit the high points. So you have to figure out, I got to make both of them hit the high points, or maybe she just don't scream. Maybe she quiet, but she's still happy. But she still could get jealous because she hears all the noise and she doesn't make that noise. So you might have to delve into her psyche and like, okay, am I not pleasing you? And she's like, oh yeah, you please me. I I get orgasms and all that kind of stuff. But you make her holler. Okay, so is there something going on? Like, have you ever hollered? Were you ever loud? And if she's like, well, not really, no, then it's not you. Then you have to make her understand that, hey, that's just how you do it, but you're pleased, so it shouldn't matter what the other girl's doing. If you're pleased, then you're pleased. If you're jealous of her noise, then maybe you should stop being so quiet yourself. Stop trying to hold it in. Don't be embarrassed because somebody might hear you getting it in. You know, if you slap one of them on the ass, go slap the other one on the ass. There could be also be jealousies of, and this is where you have to focus on. Let's say, okay, I love doing this. Let's say I had two wives. I know I held up three fingers, but let's say I had two wives, and one wife is also into this. The other one is not, because this is more passionate for me. She might get jealous because me and the other wife do this. First, I have to make her understand that we have our things that we're more compatible in, that we share. So don't get jealous about this. Maybe you and I like to read, and so we sit in a room and we read together. Maybe you and I like taking walks by the water, and so we go take walks by the water together. Celebrate in the area to which we have our commonality, and don't get jealous about the other areas, because maybe the one who likes doing this is jealous about us taking the walks, and maybe she don't take the walks because she don't like bugs, so she don't want to take the walks. Or okay, I have another passion, golf. I would love to be able to play golf as often as I like. So maybe the one who likes this does this. This one who don't, she loves playing golf. So me and her go play golf. But this one is mad. This one is like, well, we only do this for like 2 hours. Y'all go play golf for like 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours. But I give you another 2 hours in this amount of time. You see what I'm saying? So you just have to be able to balance all those kind of things out. And they will come up. They will come up time to time. And you have to make sure that you're balancing it. If you're not a leader, you shouldn't do it. Y'all must don't have kids living with y'all with all that hollering. You just gotta wait today. And well, my kids are grown right now, but when my kids were little, their rooms. I have always made sure I had houses where their rooms was on the other side of the house. The room is not going to be on my side of the house, except when I was in the military. You didn't have a choice. Your room over there. And even when it wasn't, even when it was still kind of decently close, hey, lock the door. Whatever. And they'll get over it. They'll figure it out. I never worried about that. Never worried about that ever. But I hear what you're saying though. Kids are like, what's going on? They fighting. They fighting. But no. Oh man. My kids have never said anything about. They've never said anything about that at all. Um, I'm sure they have heard, but they've never said anything. At least not to my memory. But they seem to have adjusted well. Hell, I had the unfortunate experience of walking in. Ugh. And I had the unfortunate experience of my oldest child walking in. That's worse. Just right there, and all of a sudden she and didn't even recognize what was going on. Just started talking about is that she wanted something out the kitchen or something she wanted. And I was like, oh my, this crazy little girl. Yeah, you can tell when parents. You can tell what's going on with your parents if their door is locked. Yeah, that's when I had to learn. I didn't see. I started out. I didn't lock the door when Sydney was an infant, but but after she had walked in the room, she was probably about, let's see, where were we living? So she was probably about 6 years old, and she walked in there and just nope, nope, nope. This was at that place, so she was about 4, and she tapped on the shoulder. I was like, oh shit. That's when the door started being locked. Even if nothing was going on, just you go in the bedroom at the end of the night, lock the door. 10 years, it's been longer. I say 10 because I stopped counting. I'm spiritual and I'm actually on my spiritual journey and I'm learning a lot about myself. Okay. So I will say this because I do talk, well, I don't talk about Tantra that much on here, but I do teach people Tantra. Okay. So you're not beholden to any of the spiritualities, and that's fine. Um, and you're on your own personal spiritual journey. That's also great. The idea of marriage is consummated in the act of sex, um, but it's sex with an emotional attachment. Some people, there are people out there, a lot of men, some women, can go out and have sex with somebody and not have any emotional attachment with them at all. None. So if there's no emotional attachment, then you having sex or being intimate with someone does not constitute a state of marriage. Constituting a state of marriage is continuously having sex with someone with the purpose of create with one of the main purposes of creating an emotional and spiritual attachment to that person. So if you just like, okay, look, I need some relief, and that person just relieves you, and then they out the door, there's no emotional attachment there, and then you don't see them for another 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 5 weeks, month, year. It's no emotional attachment. So you good. You're not married to them. But when you have dedicated yourself to somebody and y'all consistently are intimate with each other and y'all are sharing your lives, you're openly expressing your emotions and demonstrating your emotions, that's when you're married. Piece of paper ain't got shit to do with it. That's just legal documentation for the separation and what joining and separation of property. That's it. But say you just stop counting, you're gonna kill somebody. Whoever is first up the bat, you going you might kill them. You have to get rid of everything that was no longer serving you, healing what once was broken. That's a good thing for you, and you should heal from things. Understand that healing is not total elimination of it, but is your ability to control it and not allow it to control you. So whatever you went through, whatever pain you felt, being able to be in life and not allow that to control how you are in life, that's healing. To be able to walk into a new relationship, and even though you may see something similar, but all the parameters are still different, not to automatically fall back into that situation, but be able to review this new situation and say that, okay, even though this little part is similar, it is not the same as what I experienced in the past. So let me not go ahead and dump all of that on that person. That's a healed person. So don't, I mean, I say this because I don't, it's, most people think healing is all out of your system. It's not even a part of you. You don't even think about it. You're always going to think about it. It is always going to be there. You might not think about it that often, but it's always going to be a part of you. Some of the trauma I experienced throughout my life is always a part of me, but that trauma doesn't control me anymore. You understand what I'm saying? So, but when you feel like you're ready, then you're ready. Now you could, it's been over 10 years. You could get in the habit of not being in a relationship with a person. You start feeling comfortable in that situation. And so you could find yourself never, ever having a relationship again to that magnitude because you feel safe in your solitude. And being safe in that solitude means it, in that solitude, nobody can hurt you. So sometimes people get safe, start feeling safe in that solitude, and they never actually start again. So yes, you can tell with loud as hell. What are your thoughts on soul ties? Kind of what I was just saying. Um, if you only create a soul tie, I hate when these people sit up there and say, "Oh, you had sex with one person one time, that's a soul tie." No, it's not. No, it's not. There's people who I had sex with and I can't even remember who they are. Hell, I can't even see their face right now. It's not a soul tie. With a soul tie, there has to be some emotional commitment to the person. You have to have you emotionalize the sex. If the sex has not been emotionalized, then there's no soul ties. Now, when you've emotionalized sex with a person multiple times, then you are creating what's called a soul tie. How do you break it? Don't talk to them no more. Don't see them no more. Don't have sex with them no more. Go live your life and completely wipe them out of your life as much as you possibly can. And over time, whether it's dependent, and that time is relative to you, that soul tie will be broken. Some people doesn't take that long. Some people take a long time. There are people that I dated for like 6 months. We broke up. A week later, I'm good. I am good. Like all that. I am a master compartmentalizer. This is what this is what it was. This is what happened to break what it was, and now I understand and see who I was dealing with. So now I rationalize their true thoughts and feelings concerning me, and they are now in this place, and I'm good. Could walk in this door right now, and I would feel nothing as far as none of that, none of that whatsoever. It's just going to be now. There's some people walking here, and I feel some anger. I feel some anger. Yeah, because when you try to besmirch my character, that's a whole different thing. But no, but for the most part, walk in, I'd be like, "Hey, how you doing?" And not even being petty about it or trying to be, anything. It just be a genuine, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, because I hope the best for him, but I'm not connected to him anymore. So those are broken. You can break those soul ties. I think people find it hard to break them when they dwell on it for long periods of time, and or they allow that person to have access to them. You know, uh, you know, I had a I had an ex text me, was it last week or something like that? I don't remember when it was. I think it was recent. I think it was last week. I just ignored it. I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, what the hell? And then I just ignored it. Like what? I'm not about to give you conversation. Not about to, no. And it wasn't a, oh, I miss you, nothing like that. They was asking me about a product. Like, you don't have, you don't get that from me no more. Why are you asking? But I refuse to engage into the conversation of, oh, I'm gonna text back. You don't have that kind of access to me anymore. I'm not your guy that you can go to and ask for things and all this kind of stuff. Which now that creates a conversation. So I'm not going to create that conversation. I'm just not going to talk to you because there's no reason. For me, I think I know what they were after, and that is to create that conversation, to be able to see if there's maybe something still there or whatever, or just use me. So I just ignore it because it has no point. I actually ignored it to the point where within a few hours I forgot about it, completely forgot that I had received it. It wasn't until like a few days later I was scrolling through because I have a tendency to once a week go through and delete all texts in my phone that I still don't need that information. And that's what reminded me that, oh shit, I forgot I had got this text because I was going through my phone to delete all of it, which I need to do today because it's like been a text bonanza this week, especially from businesses that are trying to sell me stuff. But no, I know a dude asked earlier about Passport Bros. I don't have any problems with Passport Bros since we're in the after 12 o'clock conversation now. If that's what you like, that's what you like. If that's what you want, that's what you want. I don't think anybody should be mad that these guys are going overseas to find a woman who is less docile, who's more docile, who doesn't want to deal with the American Western mentality. Some people don't like the Western mentality. I personally don't like the Western mentality. Um, I told Angelina, I said, you are the last American woman that I will probably date because it's just American women just not working out for me. And it's not because of I'm looking for somebody. I want somebody who's like all super submissive and all that sort of thing. It's just I don't, hey, I'm leaving this country. Well, I don't. They fine with it at first, and then all of a sudden, nah, you can't just leave the country. You like what the hell? I told you what I wanted in the first place. Before we even started this whole thing. You can't come in and try to change it. You know, you the man. You supposed to pay for everything, and then I take my money and I do what I want to do with it. Who the hell you think you talking to? Life don't work that way around here. If this ain't team, if we ain't a team up, then there's no point of us being together. This has to be a team up. Yeah. But and we team up in everything. We team up in everything. If you can't understand that, it doesn't work. Oh, you don't want to be around my kids? Oh, you gotta go. You gotta go. You want me to be around your kid, but I can't be around you. But you don't want to be around my kid. Nah, that's not gonna work. You see what I'm saying? So I don't have any problem with them dudes. I don't have a problem with a woman doing it. It's gonna be harder for a woman to do it. It'd be much harder for an American woman to go and become a passport sister or whatever. I don't even know if they got a name. Uh, but that's why a lot of black women they switch teams. They go over and they switch teams. They either get with another woman or they go and get with a Caucasian. And whatever works for a person. I'm not getting with a Caucasian. But works for you, do you. You can never lead the black community, but don't do you. Got any other questions or statements concerning any of this? How many of y'all are open, just open-minded to polygamy? And if you're not, well, no. And why? Who's open to polygamy and why? What are your thoughts on red pill, manosphere community and the feminist hypergamist community? I don't even know what all that is. I don't know what those are. I might know what it is, but not know it by those terminologies. The red pill manosphere community and the feminist hypergamist community. See, like on TikTok, when a lot of those people who come on there and they're going in on men or going in on women, I don't listen to them. So I'm gonna think manosphere. So is that the super dominant patriarchal mentality, and then the feminist, the hyper matriarchy society? Is that what those two things mean? Hypergamy. I definitely don't know what hypergamy. Like, I do think that all these men and women who are fighting each other, the men who are trying to dominate these women and women who are trying to dominate men, I think they are, like somebody says, like modern day genocide. They're just killing off their opportunities to be with anybody. Why? Somebody has to lead a relationship. That's plain and simple. Somebody has to lead a relationship. Now, if you're an alpha woman, then you need to go find you a delta male. It's as simple as that. An alpha woman and an alpha man is not going to be, they are going to struggle to a certain degree. She is going to have, in most cases, the alpha male is going to be a leader, and she's going to have to let him lead. And the question is, can she be led? Right? If you have an alpha woman and she wants to be the leader, then she has to find a man who desires to be led. And that's fine if that's what they want. Hypergamy is getting someone on a high social status and somebody with getting somebody high social status or somebody with more money. Oh. So modern day gold digging. I don't if a person, what kind of money a person makes is important. For a woman for women looking at men, the money is important because they want to feel security. There's nothing wrong with that. For a man, most men don't care how much money a woman is making, but there are some men who do care. If you set those standards for yourself, then you got to be realistic about your opportunities to get it, right? If you are a dude who been in jail a whole bunch of time, got a felony, or you got 8 baby mamas and all that kind of stuff. A woman who got money, most likely, or high social standing, you ain't getting her. Stop trying. Stop trying. But if you're a woman and you got, all these, you got a couple of few kids and you barely scraping by, and you got baby daddies, or you maybe you don't have one baby daddy, but you still scraping by and you kind of ratchet, you 50 and you twerking in the club, you probably don't get it. You know, if physically, and here's the thing about men, we are visual. If you are not physically attractive to that man's standard, don't try. He ain't gonna get with you. He might, break you off a piece. Take advantage of you, but he ain't gonna get with you. Manosphere is a collection of website blogs and online forums promoting masculinity, misogyny, and oppression to feminism. Communities with the Manosphere include men's right and activists. I was almost with it a little bit until you got to the misogyny part and opposition to feminism. The misogyny part is what throws me off on that one. I do think that men need to learn how to be men, because most of these dudes running around here, they some weak motherfuckers. I'm just being honest, y'all. I'm just a lot of jokers. Some it's starting with my generation. I'm 51 years old and going down. And if you fall into this category, you'll get over it. But all you participation trophy motherfuckers, and I'm cussing, y'all some weak jokers. But then you expect a woman to follow you. You expect to lead. You don't know how to manage shit. You can't manage personalities. You can't manage people. You can't manage a house. You can't manage finances. You can't manage your job. You can't. You don't know how to get promoted. You don't know how to grow, make yourself more valuable. And you sit there and you complain and you whine. Now, everybody's going to have their ups and downs. Just because you are having a downtime doesn't mean that you're not a man. You're going to have your ups and downs. But all that freaking whining, all that complaining and scapegoating everybody instead of getting off your ass and getting shit done. It's a bunch of weak ass dudes out here. So I do think that there is a need for men to learn masculinity. But the problem is most of these fools think that they alphas and they Charlies, and they sitting up here thinking they're an alpha, but their ego won't allow them to learn something from a real man. And they weak. Part of the problem, our society is weak. I remember the first time my son got a participation trophy, and we had a conversation, and we talked about it. He wound up throwing that damn thing in the trash because I made sure that he understand you don't get a trophy for participating in life. If you want to win, if you want the number one trophy, then you got to put in the work. You got to get the mentality to become the winner. And then you go out there and you keep fighting until you win. You get no damn participation trophy. What kind of bullshit is that? But that's the mentality that most of these jokers have. Oh, I've been working at this job, man. They ain't gonna promote me. Well, how have you made yourself more valuable to the job? How have you shown initiative in the job? I first realized this when I got out the Marine Corps and I went to and I was a manager at a CVS store. And I told those people, if you're going to work for me, if you want to get promoted to be a supervisor, you need to demonstrate to me that you have the capabilities of doing the work of a supervisor. These are some of the things that this company says only supervisors do. I don't care what this company says. Do this. And the people who sat back and said, well, he just trying to get us to do his job. I ain't doing that until I get promoted to supervisor. You think them jokers got promoted to supervisor under me? No. You know who got promoted to supervisor? The ones who went out there and I showed them how to do this particular thing. They went, they did it, they learned it, and they consistently did it. And when it was opportunity for me to promote somebody to supervisor, I promoted the ones who had already demonstrated to me that they have the capability of being a supervisor. It could be something simple as, oh, I got a problem customer up here. Hey, Andy, come over here. And Andy was the guy I promoted. Andy, come over here. This is a situation. I demonstrated how I handled it the first time. Then the next time something happened, I let Andy handle it, and I was there to oversee it and to see how he's going to handle that situation. He handled it. All right, good. Then when I would do strategies, I was renegade. They say set the store up this way. I was like, nah, this is stupid. I got a whole bunch of people who just sitting back here waiting by the pharmacy all goddamn day. Y'all got pharmaceutical stuff, machines and things for them to buy that's sitting back here on the end cap. No, I'm putting snacks on this end cap. These people sitting here for 3, 4 hours. Put them snacks on that end cap, we start selling more of that. We start selling and put the batteries near all the damn electronic things that need batteries instead of being way over there. So I moved the store around. And I would sit with Andy and the other people who was interested in being a supervisor. Like, okay, where would y'all put this? Where would y'all put that? How can we increase a better flow chart within here? You show me you want to be a supervisor first. But these weak ass dudes, they just want to get the job. Oh, I've been here for 5 years, man. They ain't never promoted me. Have you went to some of the internal classes that they have? You have not made yourself more valuable. You are not standing out. So, um, I know I went on a little tirade there. These jokers be pissing me off, man. And I can't even blame that on the Marine Corps because that's something that I had before I went to the Marine Corps. Because it just doesn't function. That's how I grew up. I grew up with a grandfather who was that way. I grew up with uncles who was that way. My dad, I didn't grow up with him, but the stories I heard about him, I understood him to be that way. And then when I finally did start get to know my dad, I recognized he was also that way. So it was like, there's no other way to be. You know, you compete. These fools don't want to compete. So I do think that men need an outlet to be able to learn how to become a man because they're not getting it at home. And then a lot of these dudes are being raised by single mothers, and that's a shame. But I mean, it's decreasing now, and black men are involved in the household more so than anybody else. So that's great. But what kind of black men do we have in these households? You know, uh, and some of these mothers who be petting their kids, they be coddling these boys too much. It's too damn much. You know, my son would tell you he was definitely raised differently than the girls. And even to this day, the girls, Dad, I need to come stay with you. Okay. Lincoln, I need to come stay with you. How long? How long? Mm-mm. These dudes is weak. And I'm a patient person. I'm a patient person. People around here have told me that I am more patient than they thought that I would be, or um, than I should be, and they're right because my patience running thin. It's running thin right now. I'll tell you that part. I'm tired of some bullshit that's going on, but nah. Um, the misogyny part is what bothers me on that. You know, we don't. If the only way you can be a man is to oppress your woman, you're not a man. You're a Charlie. You're a Charlie, and you're not a man. You're a boy that's acting like a man in a violent, rough, mentally abusive way. So no. Um, I know Angelina put some more crazy stuff up there. What is that? Oh, some laughing stuff. Because you know what I'm talking about. Ah, you gotta have some inside jokes every now and then. But no, there's and I think some of these now, as much as they talk about toxic masculinity, there's a whole bunch of toxic femininity out there too. You know, some of these ladies who are trying to act like men, trying to run a man, control a man, but then you want the man to be a man. How can you want the man to be the man if you're trying to control a man? That shit don't work. That's an oxymoron, right? And she's a moron for thinking that. You know, you ain't gonna sit up here and like, I want you. You need to be a man, and I'm gonna tell you how to be a man. Well, you just tell me how you want me to be. You want to control me in my madness, but tell me I need to be my own man. That don't make no sense at all. You know, and I make more money than you, so I'm leading this relationship. Who makes the money don't matter. You can give two rats asses about who makes it. This is how it's gonna work in this household, but who makes it? Not that important to me. Yeah. So, all right, good people. I'm starting to get hungry. Y'all know I don't eat while I'm on this thing. So, we are going to call it a day for today. And I'm sure I'll see you guys as I make more videos. I'm trying to trick Angelina into making this video on her channel. So, hey, I need everybody to go to TikTok and look up Sheffield, A underscore Sheffield, Sheffield, A Sheffield. And I need y'all to just like her TikTok, follow it. I just need you to follow it. You ain't gotta look at it all the time. I just need you to follow it. All right. I want her TikTok to have 1,000 people following it so she can do lives. Because I need her to. There's a certain live I need her to do. So I need. Yes, it's a joke, but it's gonna be funny to me, and her. But I need y'all to go to her TikTok and A Sheffield, like that thing, follow that thing. Uh, I gotta get her numbers up. I gotta get her to 1,000. Then after 1,000, it doesn't really matter. I just need to get to 1,000 so she can do lives. But I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to our next encounter. I'll probably shoot some more videos today and tomorrow and Sunday, and then I'll be back on Monday, and we will continue our conversations. So y'all have a great day, and remember always you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations, and I thank everybody for their gifts and their stars and their financial donations. And I especially thank you for your comments and continue to share the videos. But see you, because I'm hungry. My baby made me some lunch.